Therefore, God sends them a strong delusion, so that they may believe what is false. What if humanity committed the ultimate betrayal? This series tells the story of a world that prayed for salvation, and then turned against the very messenger sent to deliver it. When Earth reached the brink of collapse, its resources depleted, its skies empty of birdsong, its oceans poisoned by greed, humanity cried out for a miracle, and a miracle arrived. An angel sent by God himself. But instead of responding with reverence, they responded with wires, with needles, with steel. The angel was captured, chained to a machine, and turned into a divine battery. That machine was called Angel Engine. What follows is not just horror, it's a descent into spiritual corruption. A world where science replaces faith, where divine suffering fuels artificial miracles, where a man named Jeff Ernstman becomes the face of human arrogance, and eventually, the vessel for something far worse. In this video, you'll find a compilation of all the analyses I've done so far on Angel Engine, from the arrival of Uriel to the rise of the Antichrist, from the first spark of the machine to the moment hope began to fade. Many of you already know the reasons behind this compilation, and since I don't want to drag out this intro any longer, you'll find the full explanation in the pinned comment. That said, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who responded to the pinned comment in the last video and for the incredible support you always give me. Remember, if you'd like to be featured in the next video, make sure to reply to the pinned comment where you'll find this question. What do you think inspired Angel Engine? Without further ado, don't forget to leave your precious like and subscribe to help the channel grow and reach more people. Every like is one more coin to escape poverty. If you're unsure what to comment, just type meow in the comments section and I'll give you a heart in return. Comments are incredibly important and help the video a lot, so don't forget to leave yours. And of course, don't forget to check out my second channel as well. For false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. This is a story of betrayal, of sacrifice, of the slow, deliberate replacement of God. This is the collapse of a world that chose to betray heaven. This is Angel Engine Explained, the movie, the beginning of the end. The series begins with the presence of an angel describing a cycle of human self-destruction. This universe introduces us to a species on the brink of extinction. The planet's resources have been pushed to their absolute limits. Wildlife is a thing of the past, and all earthly species have been plunged into complete chaos. Extinction is imminent, and with no other options left, humanity turns to prayer, desperate, unceasing prayer, pleading for a miracle. And, by sheer fortune, that miracle descended from the heavens. An angel, a messenger of God, took pity on humanity and appeared on earth to help. But, in return, he was betrayed. Trapped within a machine known as the Angel Engine, he became the victim of mankind's greatest sin, a direct and irreversible defiance against God himself. The purpose behind this act was to harness the angel's divine energy, using it as an infinite power source to create a utopian paradise on Earth. This meant extracting his energy endlessly, keeping him imprisoned, and likely forcing him into a state of eternal suffering. The angel narrating these events is the very same one who was captured. But don't worry, you'll understand soon enough. Now, we jump forward into the future, where we witness what remains of the poor angel who was captured who knows how many years ago. He begs to be freed. To do so, whoever receives his message must find the Angel Engine, located in what is described as a sacred land, a desolate wasteland filled with massive, thorn-like spires erupting from the ground. At one point, the angel mentions that the wages will be abundant, which could be an echo of a divine promise, a celestial reward in exchange for his liberation. Later, the angel warns of the arrival of an evil entity, one that will show no mercy to humanity. This being will soon descend and deceive mankind, manipulating them until they are led straight into the apocalypse, to total extinction. Despite all the suffering he has endured at the hands of human greed, The angel still wants to help us avoid this fate. His love for humanity is so great that even now he longs to protect us. However, he is powerless to do anything unless he is freed from the angel engine. And as for the malevolent entity he speaks of, it is none other than the Antichrist, a being that seeks to lead humanity astray from the true faith, guiding them toward destruction. It may even take the form of an angel. We return to the present, likely not long after the angel's capture. Here we see him already imprisoned within the angel engine, crying out for help, but as we already know, his pleas will go unheard. The lead scientist behind this experiment, Dr. Gof Ernstmann, reveals that they have discovered angels can generate limitless energy, enough to power humanity for millennia. Meanwhile, an eerie angelic figure slowly emerges in the background. He is already here. The screen suddenly cuts to a warning message as the entity, the Antichrist himself, gazes directly at humanity, even breaking the fourth wall to stare at the viewer. Then, the scene shifts to the President of the United States. But something is wrong. As he speaks, his face begins to distort, and his voice is replaced by something else. It seems the end of days has begun.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, look, me.
I am standing before you on this day as a man, a husband, a father, as your president, but most importantly, as a citizen of this country.
Hey, this not from girl.
I will not sugarcoat our current situation. We are on the cusp of war.
Your species will die.
This is not a test, this is not a joke. It is unfortunately the truth.
Your cities will fall.
As we speak, our enemies are readying their nuclear arsenal.
The sky will burn.
It's quite clear what is happening here. The Bible describes the Antichrist as a figure who will rise at the end of time, deceiving nations and leading many to ruin. Here we see him doing exactly that, controlling and manipulating the President of the United States, likely to incite a war that could have been avoided. All of it, a carefully orchestrated plan to push humanity toward its downfall. In the next episode, we learn what the angel is trying to do from the future. He tells us that he has crossed the abyss of time to deliver these messages. The angel is attempting to warn humanity about an impending apocalypse, one that seems inevitable. He also clarifies that the figure we see is not him, despite their striking resemblance. The Antichrist has taken his form to deceive and mislead us. Meanwhile, in the present, the media portrays the angel engine as an unprecedented scientific breakthrough, downplaying the fact that a sentient being is being tortured within the machine. Fortunately, there are still people who oppose this situation. The reporter mentions that the angel engine is located in the structure behind him, known as the Second Tower of Babel, referencing the biblical story that explains the origin of humanity's diverse languages. According to the tale, after the Great Flood, humanity spoke a single language and sought to build a tower in the city of Babel that would reach the heavens. Seeing their arrogance, God confused their languages so they could no longer understand one another and scattered them across the earth, halting the tower's construction. This modern tower stands in the Negev Desert, Israel, a land rich with traces of significant biblical figures, the very holy land the angel spoke of earlier. Over 200,000 people work in the tower, and it is here that humanity's fate will be decided. Will this lead to total extinction, or will it mark the greatest technological advancement in history? The ability to create miracles artificially. And, of course, all of this unfolds under the watchful gaze of the Antichrist. Next, we see an advertisement promoting the Angel Engine Initiative and calling for volunteers. But volunteers for what? You'll find out soon. The ad features a student worried about his future due to his poor grades. Suddenly, Dr. Ernstmann appears, promising him a bright future if he registers as a volunteer at angelengineinitiative.org. But wait, what happens if you actually visit that website? Well, as expected from a well-crafted ARG, the website is real, and it reads as follows. Sign up, become a hero. In this fast-paced world, change is a daily occurrence, and as we, as a species, step into the future, new obstacles and challenges will arise. As humans, we possess a plethora of tools with which we can confront said obstacles. To best prepare ourselves for this future, we believe it is of the utmost importance that our scientific progress can keep pace with these challenges. Here, at the Angel Engine Initiative, we are working around the clock to further scientific progress, and there is a way you can help us too. Become a research patient today, and help us build a better future. At the bottom of the page, there's a contact form. At the time of making this video, I haven't received any responses yet, but I'm sure by the next one I will. So, we'll just have to wait. But, do you want to know what actually happens to the volunteers in this project?
Well, and there goes another test subject. Well, what can you do?
This is where we truly see the dehumanization, coldness, and utter lack of empathy from this doctor. He uses people like you, watching this video, as mere lab rats, stripping them of their humanity. To him, every being, whether human or angelic, is nothing more than a means to an end. Only men like him dare to challenge God. The angel from the future appears before us once again, this time giving instructions to the few remaining humans on how to survive in the Holy Land, the devastated world left behind after the apocalypse. The first rule is always carry enough supplies, because you won't find any in the Holy Land. There's nothing there, just miles and miles of desolation. He also warns of the presence of beings known as the Forgotten, humanoid figures that roam the area and will try to kill you. Who knows? Perhaps they are failed experiments of Dr. Ernstmann, but these creatures are the least of the survivors' concerns. The Antichrist, in the form of a corrupted angel, lurks everywhere. You must not look at the sky, or your eyes will melt. He is here. Cover your eyes and ears. Do not look. Do not listen. He has already found you.
I see you.
The latest available episode is by far the strangest one. In it, the angel recites a poem titled Boots, a real poem written by Rudyard Kipling. It speaks of soldiers who, despite their sacrifices, are forgotten once they are gone, with their boots serving as a symbol of their labor and fate. This leaves no doubt. Every image we see in this episode belongs to the war caused by the Antichrist, who has manipulated and controlled the President of the United States. Here it is.
Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war. If your eyes drop, they will get the top of you. Boom, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Rise, the thing of something different. Moving up and down again. There's no discharge.
What a way to begin. In this new chapter, Dr. Ernstman presents the latest developments in the Angel Engine project. As we can see, some time has passed since the Angel was first captured. We don't know exactly how long, but whether it's been a short or long period, one thing is certain. The Angel has endured unspeakable suffering, a torment so profound that his appearance has begun to deteriorate, slowly taking on the form we know he'll have in the future. Dr. Ernstman explains that through countless experiments conducted on him, several conclusions have been reached. The Angel has demonstrated immeasurable intelligence, so much so that every test designed to study him has failed. He surpasses all known limits, and although he speaks in a strange, cryptic manner, they've managed to learn his name. They're not holding just any angel, but one from the highest ranks, the Archangel Uriel. Also known as the Light of God or the Fire of God, Uriel is recognized across various religious and esoteric traditions as the bearer of divine wisdom, enlightenment, and spiritual transformation. While his name doesn't appear in the canonical Bible accepted by all Christian denominations, he is mentioned in apocryphal and deuterocanonical texts such as the Book of Enoch and the Apocalypse of Ezra. According to some traditions, Uriel was the angel who guarded the gates of Eden with a flaming sword, preventing access to the tree of life after Adam and Eve were cast out. When God decided to flood the earth to cleanse it of the corruption caused by the fallen angels and their offspring, it was Uriel who warned Noah of the coming disaster. He revealed God's plan and instructed him on how to survive, telling him to build an ark. That alone shows Uriel's deep connection with humanity, a connection we see reflected once again here. Despite everything, Uriel continues to love humanity with all his being. He makes this known to Ernstman and pleads with him for release. But the man standing before him is a psychopath through and through, a man who embodies coldness, greed, and the total abandonment of compassion in the blind pursuit of scientific and technological advancement. A man utterly indifferent to suffering, whether human or divine. So, when the Archangel begs him again and again, Ernstman simply responds with a cold, emotionless no. Then, without hesitation, he moves on, not just to continue his explanation, but to demonstrate the Angel Engine's ability to create artificial miracles. He shows us the lifeless body of a young man, allegedly killed in a workplace accident inside the second tower of Babel. But knowing Ernstman, I'm almost certain this was just another test subject, one more victim among countless others already claimed by his hands. At that very moment, Uriel pleads, begging the doctor not to hurt him, but Dr. Ernstman goes through with it anyway. He resurrects the boy using the angel's power. I don't know if I'm the only one, but there's something deeply disturbing about seeing an angel, an entity capable of wiping us out with a mere snap of his fingers, reduced to begging and groveling before a mere human. But how did this man become the one to lead the most ambitious project in Earth's history? To understand that, we need to dig into his past. And for that, we turn to the article published in Rewired magazine, The Man Behind the Machine, the Father of the Angel. Sometimes the brightest minds aren't born, they're broken. And from those shattered pieces, things emerge that should never exist. Jeff Ernstman burst onto the scientific scene in his early 20s, leaving the world in awe. When he received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry at just 25 years old, he became the youngest laureate in history, a prodigy, a rising star. It seemed clear he was destined to become one of the greatest minds of the scientific world, and he didn't miss the chance to make that known. During the awards ceremony, he looked out at the audience with unwavering confidence and said, "I am here to bring this world into the future." A bold statement, especially coming from a man whose brain had only just finished developing. But many of the world's top intellectuals were entranced by him. They believed every word. They praised him as a visionary, almost messianic figure. And then, everything changed. Little by little, the spotlight began to fade. The young prodigy couldn't replicate his early success. The headlines vanished. The collaborations stopped. And the scientific community forgot him. The man once hailed as the future of science was swallowed by the shadows of obscurity, and for nearly 20 years, nothing more was heard from him. Until now. Ernstman emerged from the darkness, not as a man seeking redemption, but as the herald of something entirely new. And he didn't return with an apology. He returned with a machine, a device that, in his own words, is the most important invention in human history, a miraculous machine, one that, according to him, can turn any wish into reality. In the months that followed the announcement, Dr. Ernstmann's name was once again on everyone's lips. International news, scientific conferences, magazine covers. The forgotten genius had become, overnight, the most talked about man on the planet. But not everything was as it seemed. That sudden success came at a price. And soon the details began to leak. Details about what really powered the machine. Ernstmann had named it the Angel Engine, and its secret was horrifying. Inside the mechanism was a real being, an angel, conscious, alive, trapped within. That creature, caught somewhere between the divine and the artificial, was the very source of its miracles. When this truth was exposed, the reaction was immediate. Outrage. Debates erupted. Protests. Public outcry. How far are we willing to go for the sake of progress? And at what cost? Many began to question the morality of the project. Others went even further. They claimed Ernstmann's work was meaningless without the angel inside, that he wasn't a genius, just a thief of divine power. Some called it blasphemy. Others, heresy, and the most extreme voices claimed he had damned his very soul. But Ernstmann didn't flinch. Instead of expressing regret, he released a statement on the project's official website. He briefly addressed the criticism and hinted that a new invention is already on the way, one that, in his words, will silence all his doubters. More information, he says, will be revealed in an exclusive interview with national news.
State your name for the camera.
Uriel.
Welcome back to the Barry Donovan Show, ladies and gentlemen. Many see him as the savior of our species, while others think him a fraud. However, one thing is for certain. Dr. Jeff Ernstmann is the most famous man in the world right now. We here at the Barry Donovan Show were able to secure an exclusive interview with the man behind the machine. Live from the second tower of Babel, please welcome Dr. Jeff Ernstmann.
Thank you, Barry. I am thrilled to be here today.
It's my pleasure. You found yourself on the receiving end of a lot of criticism in recent weeks, particularly regarding your treatment of the angel. Would you like to say something about that?
You know, Barry, I thought long and hard about the discussion at hand, and I think it is a very important discussion to be had indeed. But there is one thing most people don't consider. We ran the tests, and they all showed the same thing. If the angel wanted to escape, he could. Yet he chooses to stay. I think that makes things clear enough.
In the same vein, many have also tried to discredit your work, claiming the angel was the real reason for your success. That must be quite infuriating, right?
You know, Barry, that is actually why I wanted to come on here. To make an announcement.
An announcement? Well, let's hear it.
Many of you have doubted me in the past weeks, but I am happy to remind you that I remain the smartest mind on this planet. And to prove this fact to you, I have been working on a new invention. Exactly 1 week from now, it shall be revealed to the whole world. Then all of you will be forced to realize that I am who I am.
That sounds like quite the statement. Can you tell us more about this new invention of yours?
All I can reveal at the moment is this. I am no longer in need of that angel to make my experiments work.
Okay, what did we just witness? On one hand, Dr. Ernstmann confirms what's become increasingly obvious. Uriel can escape. Of course he can, but he chooses to stay. After all, his sole reason for descending to Earth was to help humanity, and that's exactly what he continues to do, even from within the Angel Engine, despite the immense suffering it brings him. On the other hand, what is it that Ernstmann has been preparing for us? an invention so revolutionary that it would render the Archangel obsolete. But does that mean Uriel will finally be set free? Unfortunately, I hate to disappoint you, because in the future he's still very much imprisoned inside the Angel engine. Finally, the day arrived. The day when Ernstmann's groundbreaking new invention would be revealed to the public. But on that very same day, the doctor was the victim of an attempted assassination. Beersheba, Israel. Dr. Jeff Ernstmann, world-renowned scientist and lead mind behind the controversial Angel Engine initiative, was attacked by an assailant in the early hours of March 26th, just outside Solomon Hall, only hours before his new invention was set to be unveiled to the world. Reports indicate that the attacker used a homemade firearm. 3 shots were fired. 2 struck him in the abdomen. 1 hit his face. Ernstmann was rushed to St. Mary's Hospital, where he underwent emergency surgery, but his current condition remains unknown. The attacker, later identified as 32-year-old Jensen Goldstein, was apprehended by local authorities just 5 blocks from the scene. He is now in police custody, awaiting legal action. The entire world was stunned. News spread like wildfire and public reaction was almost unanimous. Many claimed he had it coming, and the calls to free Uriel only grew louder. Soon, however, some of Ernstmann's colleagues spoke out in his defense.
I am beyond speechless. Jeff remains one of the brightest minds on this planet, and attempting to dim such a brilliant man, all because you disagree with his ethics. It goes to show how far we've fallen as a society. My prayers go out to Jeff and all his friends and family.
As Ernstmann fights for his life, and the Angel engine remains cloaked in silence, the world stands at a crossroads. The line between miracle and monstrosity has never been thinner. And as the dust settles in Beersheba, one question echoes louder than the gunshots. What price are we truly willing to pay for a miracle? Without a doubt, Dr. Ernstmann would eventually find the answer to this question, and he won't like it one bit.
You want an autograph or something?
What was all of this? Surely no one expected this outcome, myself included. And more importantly, who or what is this new entity? Well, I have 2 possible interpretations. The first is this. Did Ernstmann truly believe he could torture one of God's closest angels without facing any consequences? For someone considered the brightest mind on earth, it's disappointing that he never took this possibility into account. Or perhaps he did. Maybe I'm jumping the gun by saying that, because in truth, we don't know for sure. But if he did foresee it, and as some of his critics have pointed out, we might be dealing with a man willing to damn his own soul if it meant achieving his goals. Here's how it all unfolded. The assailant, with a chilling, almost grotesque appearance, stands before Ernstmann and, while repeating the mantra, "God is coming," over and over, pulls out a weapon and fires. We don't know exactly who this figure is, but judging by how things turned out, he's clearly not just some ordinary person. Could he be someone influenced by God himself to punish the one responsible for this horrific sin against the divine? Perhaps, but what we do know is that Ernstmann did not survive the attack, and now he's being purged, possibly for all eternity. He's experiencing constant pain and suffering, just like he inflicted on Uriel, but multiplied millions and millions of times over. After all this, many might wonder if the doctor could somehow be revived using the Angel engine. Do you really think God would allow that? Ernstmann is now under the weight and authority of God's will, and there's no artificial miracle or man-made machine that can save him from it. But what if that's not what's happening here? What if this isn't God? That's where my second interpretation comes in. Look at Ernstmann's face and the face of the entity. Don't they seem familiar? That has to be intentional. But then, what sense would it make for the Antichrist to destroy the Doctor? Wouldn't it be more useful to him if Uriel remained under his control? There are many questions we still don't have answers to. But one thing is certain, Jeff Ernstmann is now suffering. He is being punished for everything he's done. We begin by returning to Rewired magazine. After the shock caused by the death of Dr. Jeff Ernstmann, the magazine released a new issue. Its cover hauntingly captures the essence of this story. God is dead, but his angel remains. The image is as powerful as it is provocative. We see Stephen Eckelblum, the main spokesperson for the project and likely Ernstmann's right-hand man, staring intently at Uriel, suspended in a posture that is unmistakably sacrificial. He's completely restrained, motionless, utterly unable to lift a finger against the monster before him. Eckelblum watches him closely, his expression a chilling mix of detachment and superiority. There's not a trace of compassion in his eyes. This is the world that Angel Engine has built, a world where God is no longer needed because his angel is still imprisoned, a world where miracles are industrialized, packaged, sold, and extracted through the suffering of a benevolent being who only sought to protect and help humanity. The phrase, "God is dead, but his angel remains," once again reveals the staggering arrogance of many within this universe, more than we might expect. The scales, once balanced between those who supported the project and those who condemned it, are beginning to tip dangerously. Inside the magazine, a key question is raised. What will happen now to the Angel Engine? With the death of Dr. Ernstmann at the age of 41, the world stands at a crossroads. Is this the end of the project? Is there anyone capable of continuing his legacy? Or will the Angel Engine become a relic of the past, too advanced to be understood by the remaining scientists? For now, there's no clear answer. The only thing we know is that Jeff Ernstmann, no matter how many attempts are made, remains stubbornly dead. They've tried bringing him back to life many times, but the machine won't respond. No matter how many times they attempt the miracle, nothing happens. Is it a technical failure, or could it be something else? What is certain is that the man who wasn't just the most intelligent, but perhaps the most powerful to ever exist, is still dead, and with him perhaps his vision as well. Even so, Stephen Eckelblum attempts to reassure the public with an official statement, insisting it's only a matter of time before our dear friend returns. He holds on to hope, but what he seems to overlook is that the energy used for these miracles is drawn directly from a conscious being, and if that energy is, at its core, a living extension of the Archangel himself, then there's a very real possibility that Uriel is attempting to sabotage the system from within, draining it in secret, exhausting it, rendering it unusable so that it can never be used for the purpose the scientists within the Second Tower of Babel are now so desperate to fulfill, the resurrection of Ernstmann. In the previous video, I proposed two possible interpretations of what happened to the Doctor after his death. But today, I'm leaning firmly toward the second one, and I'm partially revising what I said back then. Next, I'm going to take a pause, not just to explain this theory in the depth it deserves, but also to revisit key moments in the series and bring forward ideas that we may have all overlooked. This will be important later, so please pay close attention. As I always say, I could be wrong. Analyzing and explaining a series that's still ongoing is never easy, especially when it's one as cryptic, ambiguous, and symbolic as this. There are many possible interpretations, and what seems clear today might completely change tomorrow. First, we need to go back to the very beginning of the series, back to the moment when Uriel descends from the heavens, only to be captured and imprisoned within the Angel Engine. Many of us have asked the same question ever since, a question that, until now, I haven't brought up in either of the previous videos. But now, more than ever, it feels like the right time to address it and begin theorizing. How did they manage to capture him in the first place? How could Dr. Ernstmann have acquired the knowledge necessary to build a machine capable of containing and exploiting a divine being. Let's remember, the angel engine was created with one purpose: extract divine energy to do two things: provide humanity with nearly unlimited power and use it to manufacture artificial miracles. Ernstman may very well be the most brilliant human to ever live, but he's still just that, a human. The knowledge required to build such a device lies far beyond the reach of any mortal, unless, of course, he had help. Help from someone who understands divine nature all too well. Exactly. I'm talking about the Antichrist. The fact that we see him in the lab shortly after Uriel's capture is no coincidence. And yes, that entity we see in the very first episode, that is the Antichrist. When I first analyzed that episode, I merely narrated what happened, but I never really addressed what we were truly being shown. A figure, which we now know is the form Uriel uses to communicate from the future, explains the steps required to capture an angel, exploit the planet's resources, destroy wildlife. In short, push all life to the brink of extinction. That's when an angel will descend to save us. But why would an angel tell us how to capture an angel? Now it all makes more sense, doesn't it? Here, the Antichrist takes Uriel's form to mislead us, the viewers, but only in the first episode. The figure we see afterward really is Uriel. Next question. Why would the Antichrist want to help Dr. Ernstman? Simple. Ernstman is special. This isn't news, but the Antichrist saw an opportunity to take control of everything. The Antichrist's goal is to lead us to absolute destruction, but not directly, not immediately. The Antichrist doesn't seek the immediate physical annihilation of humanity. His aim is far more insidious: total corruption. He doesn't arrive in fire and chaos. He doesn't descend with an army of death. He doesn't hurl lightning or tear open the sky. The Antichrist wants humanity to destroy itself. His plan is to sow lies, ego, arrogance, and contempt for the sacred, to convince the world it no longer needs God, to make humanity willingly abandon everything that connects it to goodness, compassion, and redemption. In that sense, his destruction is spiritual long before it becomes physical, and once corruption reaches its peak, only then does the total collapse come, the apocalypse. That's why we see him whispering into the ear of the President of the United States, pushing him toward a war that could still be avoided, a war that will become one of the key events leading the world into a desolate wasteland. But in the meantime, the world must be distracted. All eyes must be turned toward a false hope. And what better way to do that than to turn a brilliant, world-renowned scientist, a psychopath with a god complex, into the most famous and important man in history? To make that happen, he did something incredibly simple. He gave him the instructions, not just to summon an angel, but to build a machine capable of containing it. Once that was accomplished, it was inevitable. All eyes, both of the living and those yet to be born, would turn to him. And well, ladies and gentlemen, the rest is history. Thanks to that influence, Ernstman even created a thing that made Uriel obsolete. But for what purpose? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. What matters is this. Once the Antichrist saw that Ernstman had reached the exact point he needed, and just as he was about to do with Uriel, he disposed of him. Because in this case, he needed to possess his body, and Ernstman's body is no ordinary body. It is the symbol of the new order, the face of science triumphant over the divine, the man who turned an angel into an engine and convinced the world that miracles could be manufactured. To possess Ernstman is to seize his legacy, his influence, his power. The Antichrist doesn't just want to corrupt humanity from the outside. He wants to take on the flesh of the very man who opened the door, the man who betrayed God, the man who crossed every moral line. Becoming Ernstman is the final move. It's no longer about imitating Uriel. It's about becoming the new messiah of a damned world. Ernstman was molded to be the perfect vessel, worshipped by some, hated by others, but remembered by all. Jeff Ernstman is the one name everyone knows by face. After his death, the Antichrist himself took his soul. That's why Uriel refuses to bring him back. Remember, Uriel still wants to help us, no matter the cost. He refuses because what would return wouldn't be Ernstman. It would be evil itself, now with a physical body. The body of the most influential man in the world. More convenient, more practical. But Do you really think the Antichrist didn't know this would happen? This is the biggest theory I've developed about Angel Engine so far. And honestly, the fact that these two scenes are so similar, that's no coincidence. As always, what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Back to the magazine. Eckelblum also confirms that the unveiling of Ernstmann's final invention hasn't been cancelled, only postponed. The new date is April 1st at Solomon Hall, the very place where Ernstmann was attacked before the original revelation. Now the entire world turns its eyes to Beersheba, to the second Tower of Babel. Some do so with excitement, others holding their breath, waiting to see what comes next. The article ends with the same phrase it began with: God may be dead, but his angel remains. This time spoken by Stephen Eckelblum himself, blatantly comparing Ernstmann to God. Jeff Ernstmann may be dead, but his angel, his machine, remains. After that, we get this post. Nothing important at first glance, just a meme, an extra little post to make the wait between episodes more bearable. But there's something I can't stop thinking about. The kid. The same kid we've seen before, wandering the Holy Land after the apocalypse. The same one many have come to call the hero. The one who, according to the most popular theories, ventures into the most dangerous place on Earth in search of Uriel to finally set him free. The last hope of humanity. But what's he doing alongside Ernstmann and his right hand? Is the creator trying to tell us something with this? I don't know, maybe there's a connection between them. But for now, nothing has been confirmed. I honestly can't wait to see an episode centered on this kid and on his journey, or rather, his misadventures through the desolate wasteland the world has become. The next episode of Angel Engine was released on a date that was anything but random. Easter Sunday, April 20th, 2025, a sacred day for millions around the world, commemorating the resurrection of Jesus Christ after his death. And true to form, this new episode chooses to desecrate that very idea. We begin with Uriel, more broken than ever. His appearance is becoming unrecognizable. His words are brief, fragmented, yet their meaning is all too clear. A few lines stand out. He is risen. He is not here. At first glance, these seem like direct quotes from the New Testament, and they are. There were phrases traditionally associated with Christ's resurrection, but here, something is deeply wrong. Uriel is warning us about an inevitable event, one he does not condone, the resurrection of Dr. Ernstmann, or rather of the Antichrist. The phrase, "he is not here," makes it painfully clear. The real miraculous scientist is gone. What's coming back won't be him. It will be something much, much worse. But wasn't Uriel supposed to stop this? Well, as we've been told time and time again, soon enough, Uriel will no longer be needed to bring him back to the world of the living. Then the camera zooms out, revealing a deeply unsettling image. We see Stephen Eckelblum speaking directly to the camera, his face completely devoid of emotion, of humanity. Beside him lies the grotesque, lifeless body of Ernstmann, kept intact only by tubes and wires. Eckelblum smiles as he speaks of hope, perseverance, and triumph over death. He begins drawing a parallel with Jesus Christ, referencing his resurrection and the forgiveness of sins. But soon the tone shifts. He starts equating that divine miracle with Jeff Ernstmann himself. In essence, he tells us that even though they still can't operate their new invention, just as Christ rose from the dead, Ernstmann will rise too. That humanity must keep the faith in the project, in the tower, in the machine. This speech, wrapped in gentle words and ceremonial flair, becomes one of the most blasphemous moments in the entire series. They're no longer justifying anything. They're no longer hiding. They're building a new religion, complete with its own martyr, its own miracle, and its own artificial resurrection. The episode ends with a phrase, a statement that, under other circumstances, might sound hopeful, but here, it becomes a threat.
He will rise again.
And sure enough, he did. Although the creator described the following post as nothing more than a simple edit, the content speaks for itself. First, we see the floating heads of Ernstmann, Eckelblum, and the hero. Once again, it's clear that some kind of connection exists between them. Then, an endless line of Ernstmann clones, identical, eerily calm, inhumanly serene, raise their hands, shaped like guns, and point them directly at Uriel's head. Uriel is on his knees, defeated, utterly humiliated. This scene is heavy with meaning. It's not just a depiction of Uriel's submission, it's a statement of intent. He is no longer needed. The world shaped by Ernstmann, or more accurately, by the Antichrist through him, has no use for angels anymore. Or at least, not in the same way. And that's when we see it, the final result of years of research. A living mockery, an abomination built to replace Uriel, not just in function, but in presence. The Antichrist's trump card. He knew Uriel would refuse to resurrect Ernstmann. That's why this artificial angel was created, a monster with the power to do what the archangel once did, perhaps even better. Because if they can manufacture a god and wield it however they please, why rely on the real one? Out of that blasphemy was born this perfect creature, Barachiel. Barachiel is one of the 7 archangels venerated in Eastern Christian traditions. His name comes from Hebrew and means blessed by God. To name this machine after a true angel is a direct insult. Just one more for the collection.
I see your spirit. I see your flesh.
The first words spoken by this artificial angel may seem simple, but they carry a terrifying weight. Because in order to truly see your spirit, one doesn't just need eyes. They must be designed to reach the deepest layers of your being, your essence, your will, your soul. This being doesn't just perceive your physical form, it can see into the spiritual. It isn't just a machine, it's not a mere substitute. It's an entity built to invade everything. And when it says it can see your flesh, it doesn't mean the surface of your body. It means your weakness, your mortality, your fragility as a human being. This sentence makes it clear. You're not standing before some advanced artificial intelligence. You're standing before something else. A hybrid presence. Something born from the divine, but shaped by profane hands. A machine with the gaze of a false god, and the power to tear you apart, inside and out.
Free yourself from the flesh.
Ha ha ha. Why the shocked faces? You didn't really think I'd miss my own invention's big unveiling, did you? Now, without further ado, let me present to you my blessing upon this world. The world's first artificially created angel. Would you be so kind and tell the audience your name?
Barachiel.
Let's break it down step by step. The first thing we see is a scene that perfectly represents the resurrection of Ernstmann as the Antichrist. We witness his soul subjugated, erased. He's already been possessed. Then, in an eerie, unnatural calm, a hole opens in his face, and from within, Barachiel begins to emerge. He's bringing him back to life. And finally, we arrive at the grand unveiling. Along with it comes the grand reappearance of Dr. Jeff Ernstmann, or rather, what's left of him. After all, how could he miss the day his greatest creation is revealed to the world? His expression says it all. Triumphant, arrogant, mocking. The Antichrist has won. He's seized control of the entire world. He has crowned himself the god of the new world to come. From this moment forward, there's no doubt. Angel Engine has officially become one of those fictional universes labeled as forsaken by God. In many stories of cosmic or post-apocalyptic horror, it's suggested that God has disappeared, died, or simply stopped intervening. But in Angel Engine, it's not that God abandoned the world, it's that the world deliberately abandoned God, and it did so knowingly. The most ironic and terrifying part of it all is that perhaps God did respond. He sent help, he sent Uriel, but humanity, far from being grateful, plugged him into a machine. So yes, Angel Engine isn't just a world forsaken by God. It's one where death no longer holds any meaning, where God was betrayed, killed in spirit, and his angel reduced to a slave. A world that made its choice, that chose its new God, its new gods, and must now face the consequences. All we can do now is watch Uriel cry, begging to be freed so he can help us stop a future that has already been sealed. The curtain opens, and there he stands, the new angel, the perfect machine, the final blasphemy. And now we understand. The figure we saw in that How to Survive in the Holy Land video wasn't the Antichrist. It was Barakiel. There are now 3 pieces on the board, 3 beings that don't belong to this world. Who knows how any of this will end? The scene shifts. We're taken to Ishel prison during a national news broadcast. The reporter announces that the body of Jensen Goldstein, the man who killed Dr. Ernstmann, was found dead just days after the doctor's resurrection. Coincidence? Absolutely not. Goldstein had been possessed by the Antichrist to carry out the murder, and once his purpose was fulfilled, he was discarded. Or maybe the phrase you are seeing on the screen has something to do with it. Truth is, we don't really know for sure. In the end, Barakiel, just like the Antichrist did in the early episodes, breaks the 4th wall. He looks directly at us. It only deepens their connection. After all, the Antichrist himself is the true father of this artificial angel. He tells us he loves us, but something tells me that his idea of love is nothing like ours. We've reached the chapter that marks the end of all currently available content. We go back in time. We see Uriel, or rather the Antichrist, taking his form and explaining how to awaken the Angel Engine. But is he really speaking to us? Clearly not. These words are meant for Ernstmann. This is where the theory is confirmed. The Antichrist played a crucial role in the creation of the monstrous machine we all know by now. Build the mainframe. Prepare for what is to come. Bleed to feed the hunger of the machine. These are just some of the steps the Antichrist whispers to Ernstmann. Then the scene shifts. We're taken to an interview on the Barry Donovan show, once again with Ernstmann, except this time after his death. But something feels off. His attitude. He doesn't even seem like the same person we saw moments ago. The Antichrist. Confident, arrogant, with the whole world in the palm of his hand. But now, he appears anxious, short-tempered. Which makes me wonder, what if the doctor's soul hasn't completely vanished? What if there are 2 minds trapped inside the same body? As I mentioned at the beginning, analyzing and explaining an ongoing series is always tricky, especially when it's something like Angel Engine. So if everything I've told you today turns out to be way off from what's really going on, don't worry. Once the series is finished, I'll release the ultimate breakdown in chronological order with all the pieces finally in place. And well, in the end, the interview spirals out of control.
Jeff? Did you hear me? Jeff? How was it, being dead and all?
Fuck you.
Sorry, what was that, Jeff?
I said fuck you. Now turn off that camera.
Good one. Almost got me there.
I am not joking. Turn it off.
I don't quite understand. You do know we are live, right? What are you doing? Stop it.
All right, that's all for today. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I love reading what you all have to say. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to support this one as much as possible and share it with as many people as you can. Also, make sure to follow me on my other social media platforms where I post exclusive short content you won't find here on YouTube. And most importantly, a huge shout out to all the channel members. Seriously, thank you all so much. If you'd like to become a member, just click the join button next to the subscribe button to unlock tons of perks and exclusive emojis while supporting me. If you're interested, join in. I'll be forever grateful. And remember, this video was made by a cat, and cats can't talk. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you soon.